Hello Peanut Peeps! I'm happy to let you know that I got the Z9 a couple of weeks ago. I owe great thanks to Unique Photo and the great person that I worked with there. He made sure that I got it as soon as possible, and Unique always treats you right. So if you need gear, try Unique Photo. So I will give you my conclusion right up front. I'm loving the Z9. I'm having great fun. The autofocus has exceeded my expectations, and 4K 120 slow motion has blown us away. The slow motion was super sharp and super smooth. Maria and I are loving this, and it looks like the Z9 is unstoppable, and it should only get better with future firmware. Nikon has come through on their promise and has made this customer super happy. I broke this video up into 4 sections. I want to show my autofocus testing on small birds, autofocus for shooting pictures and shooting video. I also want to show 4K 120 slow motion testing and some footage of small birds. I was lucky while shooting the small birds that I had an owl come by, and I got some 4K 120 video on that. This video is much longer than the typical video because I want to show a good amount of autofocus testing. If you had enough, you can go to the next chapter. I used the Z9 attached to the 800 5.6 for the whole video, except for the short-eared owl video, where I used the 500 PF with the 1.4 teleconverter. Both lenses are attached using the FTZ2 adapter. I spent about 30 hours doing these tests, and these are my initial findings. I'm still learning the cameras, so I might find different modes that might work better in the future. So far, I'm extremely happy with the autofocus and eye tracking in both shooting and video modes. It worked nearly all of the time for small birds. Even when the bird was blocked, it would still find the eye and work impressively. For shooting the small birds, while I am in AFC, continuous AF, I found using the wide area S autofocus with animal eye worked the best for me. When there were no obstacles in front of the bird, it worked and found the eye around 99% of the time without autofocus hunting. There was that 1% where the focus box would be around the bird and just would not focus. You could see the blurred outline, but it would not focus. You would hear the focus motor trying, but the focus would not move. To solve it, I had to shoot something else that was close to the subject, like the tree trunk, and then go back to the bird and it would work. Or change it to a smaller focus point. Then focus, then switch back to wide area S, and that would work. Also, when it got darker, there were a few missed autofocus locks due to the lack of contrast, which is understandable. What I really loved was the video in AFF. Once you got a lock, which as you can see is super fast, it would really stick well to the bird and eye. And if the bird turned where no eye is visible, it would stick on the bird, and when the eye became available, it would jump back on the eye. When I was out there, I had 10 minutes with a flying short-eared owl. I was in AFF video with wide area L, animal eye, and I was super happy with the results since I only tested a few flying subjects. I thought it was a good beginning attempt and will only get better, hopefully. For video, the AFF works similar to the AFC, except you don't need to hold down the shutter halfway or the back button focus to focus, which I prefer the back button. Once you lock on the eye, it will keep focus on the subject. You can get initial lock by putting the subject in the red focus box and let the camera automatically focus it, or you can hit the back button or halfway shutter to lock it. I preferred that because it was faster. The AFF mode on the D6 did not work well. It would keep refocusing whenever the bird moved slightly, and when it refocused, it would be blurry. On the Z9, the focus was very smooth, where you didn't notice any refocusing. It was beautiful. So let me know if you have any questions, and please subscribe. In the upcoming videos, I will be doing testing on larger birds and hopefully in flight. Okay, let's get to the video. Now I'm going to go over some of the menu setup that I think is important. And in the shooting menu, the image area, we're going to leave defaulted at FX. Image quality, we're going to change to RAW. I like to use the center weighted metering. That's why I use the D6 and the D850. We'll see if it works well on the Z9 also. The focus mode, AFC, continuous AF. AF area mode, I like the wide area AFS and the AFL. And in the examples later in the video, we'll go more in depth in that. And we'll set the AF subject detection to animal. Now to the video recording menu. The first thing I'll set is the destination of card 2. This way it's dedicated to video only. Right now there's no card in it, so you're not seeing any time, but this way it separates it from the shooting card. Frame rate set to 4K 120. We'll leave FX defaulted. The metering we'll leave at matrix. The focus mode, I like to use AFF. We'll see that later in the examples. And AFS and AFL work well for video. And we'll set the subject detection to animal. Now in the custom settings menu, focus and AF activation, I'll set up the back button focus by choosing AF on only. The next thing is the timers. It's a good idea to set the timers larger than 30 seconds or a minute when you're in video mode or AFF, because the standby will kick in if the camera is not activated in some way, like focused or shooting or something. So it's a good idea when you're in AFF, because there you don't have to focus all the time, because it will focus for you. And if you have something locked, the subject locked, you don't have to focus. So it's a good idea to set this to a larger number so it doesn't go into standby. Here I'm using the AFC wide S. The wide S is a red square focus area box, and the wide L is a rectangle. You can see the small focus point moving around. When it's white, that means I'm not actually focusing. But when it turns yellow, that means I'm holding down the focus button. The wide S, which is the red box, that's good for when you need more precision. The wide L is better when something's erratic and it's hard to keep it within a small box. Like here, the woodpecker is moving around rapidly, trying to keep him in the box, so the wider box worked well. And here you can see even with all the branches, it's still catching the eye pretty well. And I found the wide S to work really super in these situations. It really captured the eye, held on to the eye. I really enjoyed using it. There was an example, it just jumped right onto the eye. But here's an example when it went off a little, and you can see the box is going off to the right and went out of focus there. And again, it's going off to the right. Here it actually works really well until the very end. The box jumps off onto the branch for some reason. But it worked most of the time there. And here, even through obstacles, it jumps on that eye somehow. Even with this one, with this blockage in the front end, it does jump on the eye. Here it was switched to 3D mode. And I found the 3D mode, as long as you got the initial lock, it really, and as you can see here, it really was sticky. Like I'm moving the camera around and it's still sticking to the eye. But I found the wide S to be more precise and for me a better choice to use. And it worked very well. So if you look on the right side of the screen, you'll see 2160 120. So it's 4K 120. I'm in video mode. And in the top center, AFF, wide S. Now the AFF, the focusing method on that is if you put the subject in the red box, it'll focus for you automatically. Or you put the subject in the red box and you could hit your focus button and that'll snap into focus. Once it's in focus, you could release your focus button. I'm using the rear button for focusing, and I can release that and it'll keep the subject in focus. And I can just let the video run. Now, of all the features so far in the camera, the 4K 120 has really blown us away. We're just super impressed with it. It's so detailed, so smooth. The focusing is great, and I'm just loving it. And it's every time we go out, it's just a pleasure now just to take the videos. I'm really loving it. Before shooting 4K 30, the extra 90 to 120 really makes so much of a difference. You can see everything now. So that's really been really impressive.